Erik ten Hag is, and I quote, remaining committed to Manchester United despite interest from Bayern Munich. Ten Hag believes he will still be in charge at Old Trafford, despite the fact he's had no public assurances over his future from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Of course, United play Palace away tonight. That is live on talkSPORT. European football expert Andy Brassel explained on last night's Trans-Europe Express why the United boss is apparently in the frame.
Now, of course, a lot of people will look at Ten Hag's struggles this season and think, what are Bayern doing? And
all managers that struggle at Manchester United. There's something systematic wrong there, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think as well, the first thing we have to underline is Ten Hag's history with Bayern. Of course, he was assistant coach there before, and a very, very respected assistant coach there. He was B team coach as well when Louis van Gaal was there. So he understands the way they want to play. I think they'll probably get a more defensive left back to replace Alphonso Davies when they get rid of him, because they don't really want to pay him top dollar, which I think is the issue there. So whoever comes in as coach next needs to be someone who can form a solid defensive base. Would you bet on that coach being Erik ten Hag? Because I'm not convinced I would be.
No, I wouldn't.
Neither would I.
No, I wouldn't.
He might have history, but surely the people at Bayern have just got to look at the fact that he has, with all due respect, struggled at Manchester United to a degree. He came in, it's worth bearing in mind, by the way, when he did come in at Old Trafford, they were in a heck of a mess.
They were, and he got a trophy, didn't he?
Yeah.
Got a trophy. He's got a chance of getting another one this year. He has.
So, I mean, I don't know about you, Andy. I wouldn't regard him as a complete failure.
No, absolutely not. I just what it is with Ten Hag's United team, Jeff. I just don't see where it's going, where it's building, what exactly are United? What are they? What are they trying to achieve? I don't quite get it. I just see a United just have these 5-10 minute spells in matches where they can go and score a couple of goals and rescue a game. I don't really see them controlling matches. I don't think the balance in there's not enough legs in certain areas of the team. I think there's a fair bit of an overhaul needed, and I'd be surprised if they allow Ten Hag to orchestrate that. I think they'll change it.
Well, I think the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come in, he possibly will want his own man. Doesn't half beg the question, what is going on at Bayern that nobody seems to want that job, including Ralph Rangnick, who turned it down recently?
And is it true De Zerbi apparently resisted any advances for that job as well? So I read recently, look how true it is. You never know with all these sort of rumours. But very surprised that a club like Bayern, usually they identify someone, they go and get them, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But having no joy at the moment. Beaten again at the weekend, by the way. Now, Sam is back with us. Hi, Sam.
Hi, guys. Yeah, just wanted to do a little bit more on David Moyes, who is, again, making the papers today. A lot of talk on social media. Another bad day for West Ham yesterday, losing 5-0 at Chelsea. We know the pressure's on Moyes. You know his contract is up at the end of the season. Moyes pins blame on Rice's exit. He was asked in his press conference about the bad form and conceding loads of goals. He simply said Declan Rice. That was his answer. Back of the mirror, Moyes hammers West Ham flops. David Moyes slammed his West Ham players for lacking mental toughness. And I want to read this from Sam Dean, who was at Stamford Bridge yesterday for The Telegraph. He says, the farewell to Moyes looks inevitable and it's turning ugly. If this is to be the end for David Moyes at West Ham, and it now seems almost certain that it will be, the Scot deserves a far better send-off than his players are giving him. Moyes will forever be known as one of West Ham's greatest managers, but these past few weeks have been more befitting an unloved interim coach than a man of his stature. This drubbing by Chelsea was embarrassing for West Ham players and by natural extension for Moyes too. So Andy, look, we know he came back in at 2019. He kept them up. They've had finishes of 7th, 6th, 14th, 9th. Of course, they won that Conference League last season, but it is one win in 10. You can see the 70 goals this season. Only Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United have conceded more. And also we know his contract is up in a few weeks' time now. Does it seem inevitable now that David Moyes is going to move on at the end of the season? I
think he should. Whatever decision the club have made, David also has the right to be part of that as well. And I think his decision should be, I've enjoyed my time there. We've had some success. I leave them despite a poor end to the season. You know, he leaves them in a good position. Lots of fans over the last few weeks, whenever I've been in working, you often see West Ham fans going, hold on, there's loving for David Moyes. Hold on, it's not a loving for David Moyes at all. It's risky sacking a manager when he's 7th in the league for a club that can't really go any higher than 7th in the league, I don't think. I think if the West Ham fans feel they're a top 4 team, then come on, you need to pull yourself together and have a look at yourself. They're not. So it's always risky sacking a manager who's actually achieved what he set out to achieve. That's all I've ever said. I get it. I think it's Moyes' time now to go, and I think it's going to happen without doubt.
I mean, look, Agent 510 says here, are the media still going to try and defend David Moyes? Open your eyes, guys. Look at the stats this team has put up. 99% of managers end up getting the sack. Well, they're 9th in the Premier League. They got to the quarterfinals of a European trophy. They won a European trophy the season before. 99% of managers with that record, Agent 510, do not end up getting the sack. Although I would accept that perhaps a time has come for a parting of the ways, but that's down to a discussion between David Moyes and the West Ham hierarchy, in my view. Stop being negative, he says, about the fans. They watch the games more than you do. You're absolutely right.
Do, yeah.
But I suspect there's a divide amongst the West Ham fans between those who understand what David Moyes has achieved and those who don't like the style of football.
The only thing I was thinking here is if he does move on, I would really like for it to be announced before their final home game of the season. I think one thing's for certain, whether you're Moyes in, whether you're Moyes out, whether you think he's overachieved or underachieved, whether you like the style of play or not, I think absolute bare minimum, gents. I think for their final home game of the season, he deserves not lap of honour to get a massive standing ovation. I think that seems bare minimum what I think he deserves. But
that would be nice. Do you know what, Sam? In football, though, listen,
it's not that simple, is it?
It's not that simple, and it's often the case. There's been great players, great managers have left clubs without that, walking around the ground waving to the fans and with standing out there with your wife and kids. And look, there's been loads that have had to leave via the back door. I totally agree with you. I think it'd be lovely if Moyes does get that sort of send off, but I would imagine by then that decision won't have been announced. So we'll see.
It'd be a shame. I think it should be. By the way, it's not his fault the club sold Declan Rice. You know, I mean, how would you replace a player as irreplaceable as Declan Rice? And the recruitment isn't all down to David Moyes either. You know, I mean, it's been pretty plain he doesn't get on necessarily with the sort of head of recruitment, if you like, there. So, yeah, West Ham fans, I understand their frustration. I totally get their frustration. But I don't think the finger should just be pointed at David Moyes. And I don't think you should just see it in the fact that you've conceded X number of goals this season. I think you have to look at his reign as a whole.
And of course, as a whole, on paper, as I mentioned, 6th, 7th, 14th, 9th right now, won a trophy. By the way, Andy, whoever comes in, that's a big boost to fill.
Well, look, it would be very interesting to see. Clearly, the squad needs a little bit of a shake-up as well. There's a few there that are plodding about now at West Ham, let's be honest, that have been there for a good few years. Time to shake that up a little bit as well. There will be some impetus when a new guy comes through the door, and you will get a few new signings, but we'll see. Be very interesting to hear from the West Ham fans maybe towards Christmas next year, see how they're doing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They certainly need a few additions, I think, particularly defensively. Mark, the West Ham fan, says, if David turns round and says, I'm going to play a more progressive style of football and not sit back so much at home, so that would take us to the next level. He said, I love him, but I can't keep paying 150 quid every week to watch the team the way we play. And Mark, I get that
that's fair
as well. You're
that's
absolutely entitled to that viewpoint. It's expensive to go to football. You want to be entertained. Sam, thanks very much indeed. Come on, Hammers fans, let's hear from you. You're never shy, I know that. Have you been proven right about David Moyes? Does he deserve a good send-off, if it is to be a send-off? 03717 223344. Give us a call right now.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.